My name is Sarah Hando, and I'm the editor of the Sunday Dispatch. And I'm more of a behind-the-scenes kind of person, so you're going to have to bear with me. But we at the Sunday Dispatch are so honored to hold this event every year, and it's so great to see so many familiar faces and to have such a great crowd tonight. Because it's not just about buildings or policies, schools or businesses that make a community great. It's definitely the people. It's not often we can all get together like this and honor our community leaders and hear their inspiring stories. People like Rose Randazzo, who in her volunteer position as Main Street manager in Pittston City has helped transform the landscape of the city into a budding metropolis filled with commerce, art, and culture. And people like Tom Tigue, whose courage, valor, and dedication in service to his country, his state, his school district, and his family and community has made a real tangible difference in so many lives. I'd like to acknowledge our past winners in attendance here tonight. If you can, please stand when I call your name. Former Persons of the Year, Mike Lombardo, Lori Nacito, Monsignor John Bendick, Peggy Burke, Rich Kasuth, and Barb Chandra. And our Lifetime of Service Award winners, Jim Steer, Maria Capolarella Montanti, and Gloria Blandina. Also, this event wouldn't be possible without Sunday Dispatch and Times Leader staff who are here in attendance tonight. We have Managing Editor Dottie Martin, Advertising Director Tony Spina, Advertising Manager Carrie Miscavige, Circulation Director Mike Barnum, Office Manager Renee Sager, Sunday Dispatch Advertising Rep Paula Hateman, Sunday Dispatch reporters Jimmy Fisher and Nick Wagner, and last but certainly not least, Sunday Dispatch Office Manager Judy Minsavage. We'd be lost without her. And before I introduce our first speaker, if you haven't already, there are donation baskets for charities our recipients have chosen to support in this event. Rose has selected the Greater Pittston Historical Society, and Tom selected the Miles for Michael charity. So feel free to donate to these organizations in honor of our award winners tonight. And now I'd like to introduce our first person of the year, Mike Lombardo.
Thank you very much and welcome everybody. I'd like to start out by acknowledging the Sunday Dispatch. It's great, and the Times Leader. This award is a great award. It's nice to recognize people that make great efforts in the community, and after the first year they seem to have gotten it right. So I have the honor of introducing Rose tonight, but before I do that, I really want to take a moment or two to acknowledge the Tigue family and Tom Tigue. When I was first elected into office and deathly afraid, you know, you sit around and you think about who do I want to be like and how do I want to act in my political life. Certainly my parents influenced some of my other core values, but Tom Tigue was one of those people. He was somebody that I aspired to be because I know in his long career that he was well respected on both sides of the aisle, whether you were a Democrat or a Republican or just somebody that needed help. There was great respect for Tom Tigue. So it's truly nice to see him honored. I know it's been a very difficult past couple months for the Tigue family, but the imprint that Tom Tigue has made on northeastern Pennsylvania is as powerful as anybody in this room. And actually, I would assert that it's probably as powerful as all of us together. So a real shout out to Tom. I'm sure he's in greater rewards with his wife Diane now, but I do want to acknowledge his receiving this award tonight. It's certainly well deserved. So we're going to travel in time a little bit, and I won't stay up here too long, but it's interesting because a lot of the way back wins happened right here in this room. And I think back to what seems like a long, long time ago, 20 years ago, when I walked in the door, and Mark Davis from Senator Yeachak's office said to me, oh, the city keeps getting great press. Someone's always on the news talking about the positive things. Well, it's easy now, but it wasn't always like that. There was a lot of work that needed to be done, and way back in 1996 was kind of a scary time when some of us came together and we really believed that this place that we loved and cared about could be so much more than it was. We remember the stories that our parents told us and our grandparents about the great downtown and how things were. And we even remember, because some of us are old enough, I certainly am now, the days that we spent as young children when there were still things to do downtown. So we had this great idea of the past, and we wanted to get from where we were to somewhere, in this future that we believed we could have. And I speak at a lot of events, and I always talk about, building a community is kind of an exercise in reconciling, where you were, where you are, and where you really want to be. And that's what it was, and it was scary. I just saw a quote a couple months ago from Henry Ford, who talked about progress and success and work, and he said something like, coming together is a beginning, sticking together is progress, and working together is success. I would challenge that a little bit. I think I'd reorganize the last two. Coming together is pretty easy. Working together is not too hard. Staying together for a long period of time isn't always so easy, especially when you have big personalities in the room. And certainly tonight we're celebrating one of those big personalities. Rose, who without her support and vision and belief in the city, we couldn't be here. Rose has got the enthusiasm of a cheerleader. She's got the passion of something of a tale in maybe a Jim Croce song. She's got the tenacity of a used car salesman and the intensity of former Yankee manager Billy Martin. As a matter of fact, I want to tell you a little story because, while it's a Billy Martin story, it's really a Rose story. There's all these Billy Martin stories out there, but he and Mickey Mantle were good friends, and allegedly they liked to hunt. So one year, every year, they used to go to this farm and hunt. And Mickey would call and get permission, and they'd go down to the farm in Texas, and they'd hunt for a couple days. So as the story goes, Mickey makes the phone call one year, and the landowner says, you can come down and hunt, but I really need your help with something. We've got this cow that was the family cow. It's been with us forever. We didn't really use it for anything. It grew up as a pet, and it's in terrible, terrible health. And we need to really put it out of its misery, and none of us can seem to do it. So we were wondering, if you came down here, could you do it? So Mickey agreed and cleared everything up with Billy, and they flew down. And on the way down, he decided he was going to pull a practical joke on Billy Martin. So they get all the way down there. They walk to the ranch. They knock on the door. And Mickey comes back and seems very frustrated. And he says, you're not going to believe this. They're not letting us hunt. And he goes, what do you mean they're not letting us hunt? They're not letting us hunt. He goes, I got to do something about this. So he walks into the barn. He takes out his gun, and he shoots the cow. He turns around and starts walking out, and he hears about 5 more shots. And he turns around, and Billy Martin says, that'll fix him. That's the way Rose approaches tasks. Quite a few times I've gone into the barn to have the clip unloaded behind me. So it is without further ado, it's without further delay, there's somebody that I get to introduce that needs no introduction and certainly deserves the award tonight. Attorney Rose Randazzo, 2015 Dispatch Person of the Year.
Thank you, Mike. That was beautiful. I am so honored to be here tonight and grateful to be the recipient of this award. When I arrived at the Gramercy earlier, I saw so many of you, my entire family, all of my friends, and I thought, there are moments in your life that you carry with you forever, and this is one of those moments for me. I believe that I'm here because of the Cinderella story of our great city. and the revitalization of the main street. But let me tell you, what happened outside of these doors took a village. It took and happened because of many of the people in this very room. The donors, the volunteers, the lovers of everything Pittston, and a visionary named Mike Lombardo, our former mayor. Mike came to my office in 1997. We knew each other from high school, but hadn't seen each other in years. And he asked me to join a club that he was starting called Downtown Tomorrow. He wanted to bring art and culture back to the downtown, and he wanted to preserve the architecture of our main street. Well, I drank the Kool-Aid, and I joined the club. The other members of the club that drank the Kool-Aid were James Zara, Susan Lombardo, Lori Nacito, Sammy Falcone, Jerry Mecadon, my uncle Sam Marenka, Mike Vogue, now Judge Vogue, and the late great artists Kevin McGarty and Joe Barini. And so it began. And that group devoted endless hours for the cause. And I believe all of them, except for the ones that have passed, are here in this room tonight. And that's amazing. And over the past 20 years, more and more people joined the club. And I want to recognize their efforts and thank them publicly for everything that they do every day. First, I want to recognize my assistants, Mary Angelella and Janet Yurchak. They have been loyal to me for 20 years. Mary also volunteers every Tuesday in the summer and fall, and she runs our farmers market for free. Mayor Clush, he's here tonight with Councilman Mike Lombardo. These are two tremendous civil servants, and I would not be standing here and I would not be the Main Street manager if it wasn't for both of them. Maria Lavrone and Bill Zach, they own Art on Main, and both volunteer many, many hours to put on our art walks. The Pittston Chamber, they have been so supportive in everything that I do. Brandy Bartouche, Rosemary DeSoy, her husband Joe. If it weren't for their fundraising efforts, we would not have an inspiration mural on Main Street. I also want to recognize Judy Greenwald for her efforts in fundraising, and I want to point out that there were more than 100 private citizen donors that gave substantial sums to make the inspiration mural happen. And then there is Pat Hadley and my uncle Sam Marenka. They are responsible for some of the most impressive development on our Main Street. Pat recently redid the historic New Rose building, and my uncle built the award-winning Geisinger facility. As you know, my charity is the Historical Society, and I want to call out to Ron Faraday. He is one of my heroes, and the entire Historical Society has done such a tremendous job in the last few months and years. I'm so impressed with them. Thank you. I appreciate all of your efforts. Sarah Donahue, who could not be with us tonight, she is our volunteer special events coordinator, and a young man named Brian Matiavage. I just met Brian in the last year, and I have to say he took the initiative to do a very aggressive art project in downtown. His goal is to have all of our fire hydrants painted with art, and he's doing a tremendous job. Thank you. Billy Joe Herbert and the Theater Company. This is a man who comes to every event with his theater group for free, volunteers, and puts events on for us. He's wonderful, and he's here with his mom tonight. Thank you, Billy Joe. Barb Chandra. She is brave and powerful and the architect of Paint Pittston Pink that has done a tremendous job for the city and for her charity. Thank you, Barb. Most importantly, I want to thank our Main Street merchants. I don't know how many of you are here because I'm sure the shops are still open, but you are it. You show up every day. You do a tremendous job. You put out a great product. You serve the people with excellence, and you make Main Street. And I'm very proud of all of you. You made it happen. And I can't forget my driver, Phil Campenny. He drove me in the Tomato Festival when I was Grand Marshal, and he came down off the mountain to be here tonight. Thank you, Phil. But at the end of the day, there are people in my personal life that support and encourage me every day and in everything that I do. All of my cousins are here, all of them, and I really appreciate that. I have to give a special call out to Tara Tomasetti-Smith, though. She has donated so many hours of her time to the city. She's a graphic design artist, and every time I come up with an idea, she draws something, gives me a logo, and does it all for free. Thank you, Tara. My Uncle Sam Marenka, my mentor, my Aunt Camille Tomasetti, and my Uncle Tony. I love you all. And the two Jeffreys in my life, Jeffrey Pizzuto, my son, and Jeffrey Pizzuto, my husband. You inspire me every day. My sister Donna Cabrera is here, and she was actually one of the first Main Street merchants. She formerly owned Philadelphia Hair Design. And my brother Angelo Randazzo. He was my motivation for working so hard to have the equality ordinance passed in the city of Pittston. Thank you, Angelo. My best friend, Carmela Mitchell Sebastian, flew all the way in from Tampa, Florida to be here to support me tonight. Thank you, Carmen. And I promised AJ Hazuri I would thank him. Thank you, AJ. And one more person who really supports me and does so much for me, Sissy Gavin. Thank you, Sissy. But lastly, I'd like to give a big thanks to the Sunday Dispatch. They are amazing. Nick Wagner and Jimmy Fisher, two great reporters dedicated to covering everything we do on Main Street, and that is so helpful to our mission. Sarah Hando, Judy Savage, I hope I'm saying that right, Judy. She organized this entire event, and she did a wonderful job. Dottie Martin. I want to thank Lori Nacito for nominating me. Thank you, Lori. And I want to thank the Tigue family for being here. I really appreciate that. Well, thank you all for coming out to celebrate with me tonight. And I want to say that downtown tomorrow, 20 years later, is downtown today, and it's great. Thank you.
Let's give another round of applause for Rose Randazzo. She's wonderful. Thank you for all you do. And now I would like to introduce U.S. Magistrate Judge Joseph Saporito Jr. and Carlos Saporito to present the Joseph F. Saporito Sr. Lifetime of Service Award to the late Tom Tigue.
Thank you, Sarah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My brother Carlo and I are grateful to the Sunday Dispatch for naming the Lifetime of Service Award after our dad. This award has kept the spirit of our dad alive in the community which he loves so deeply. We also extend our congratulations to Rose Randazzo for being named Person of the Year. Her energy has helped to transform Pittston and make it reminiscent of its heyday years. Our dad served the city of Pittston as its mayor in the 1950s and quickly and quietly helped many people as their lawyer or their friend until his death in 2001. In August of 1988, the Dispatch did its spotlight piece on him, and in the article, he was quoted as saying, "I love Pittston. Pittston will come back." What a premonition that was. Pittston is back, and Rose, thank you very much for all of your efforts. The committee which selects the Lifetime of Service recipient, every recipient is considered extraordinary in our eyes, and this year's selection is no exception. I am always amazed at the common thread that runs through these men and women who have given so much of their time to worthy causes. And the common thread is this: they give their time and talents to men, women, and children in need, and to worthwhile community endeavors and causes, all without recognition or reward. And I can tell you from my dad's standpoint, his good deeds were known only to himself and the recipients of them. Tonight we honor the late Tom Tigue, not because of one or two or the many great achievements that he had in his life, but rather we honor him with this award because of a steady and consistent approach to life, always doing the little things right, all the time, every time. We honor him for his loyalty and devotion to his family. We honor him for his service to our country as a decorated Marine. We honor him for his service to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania as a member of the House of Representatives. We honor him for his service as a member of the Board of School Directors of the Pittston Area School District. Most importantly, we honor him for his willingness to help his community, his church, and others in need without seeking reward or recognition. When Tom was informed that he was selected as the recipient of the award in typical Tom Tigue parlance, he asked, "Are you sure there's nobody more deserving you can give it to?" Tom was a quiet man, and yet at the same time in conversation he was very engaging. He wasn't much for talking about his tour of duty in Vietnam, but if you asked him about his tour, he would proudly tell you that he received the Sunday Dispatch every week when he was an infantry platoon commander. He was a great behind-the-scenes man. Many people aspiring to political office often sought his sage advice. He freely volunteered to give community endeavors its success. And most recently, he and his co-chairman, Pat Solano, helped to raise the necessary money to complete the Cosgrove Annex expansion project of the Pittston Memorial Library. Late last year, Tom attended a ceremony at the Pittston Area Primary Center at which a flagpole was dedicated in his honor. And a few days later, he received the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Greater Pittston YMCA at its annual dinner. As the old saying goes, behind every man there is a woman. And last August, as you know, Tom's wife, Diane, died unexpectedly, just a month shy of their 47th wedding anniversary. They were the proud parents of 4 children, Tom Tigue Jr., Tracy Ashby, Kristen Lazevnik, and Colleen DeFrank, and the grandparents of 9 grandchildren. By far, his family brought him the most pride, and whom he considered his greatest accomplishment. Diane's wake attracted crowds from throughout the region, and as I was making my way through the line at the church, I marveled at the way Tom took the time to thank everyone for coming to pay their respects. And I also thought to myself, hopefully, that maybe, just maybe, if anybody could do it, Tom Tigue might be able to beat that awful illness. Well, unfortunately, we know the result. But his illness and Diane's death didn't stop him from fighting. Tom was a fighter till the very end, and he wasn't afraid to stand up and be counted when expressing his beliefs, win or lose, right or wrong. And so I think a quote from President Theodore Roosevelt sums up Tom's life best. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best, if he wins, knows the thrills of high achievement, and if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. On behalf of my brother and the Sunday Dispatch, we are pleased and privileged to present the 2015 Joseph Saporito Lifetime of Service Award to the family of the late Thomas Tigue.
On behalf of my family, first I'd like to congratulate Rose Randazzo on her award as well. We'd like to thank the Saporito family, Sunday Dispatch, and the Times Leader. Joe just basically summed up everything. My dad received national awards, state awards. Awards like this, even though he really didn't want any, my mother would be more happy on him getting this than he would be himself. But it was the awards in his community for the people he represented and served, and friends and family that meant more to him than national or state awards. So again, on behalf of my family, we'd just like to say thank you. And we'd like to thank everyone for the support that we've received over the last 5 months. It hasn't been easy, but people like everyone here in this room have made it easier for us. So thank you.
Now our award recipients have also gotten citations from U.S. and state Congress. I'll ask Ron Ralston on behalf of Mike Carroll to come up here and present citations to both of our winners.
I'm very honored to be here tonight. Representative Carroll is still in Harrisburg, or else he would be here himself, but we have this leader of his house, Kelly Carroll, and I think that's actually a Tom Tigue stolen lane. First, we're going to present a citation to Rose. If you come up, please. this is a citation from Representative Carroll and the House of Representatives honoring Rose Randazzo.
Thank you so
Congratulations.
much.
And then the second one really hits home. Besides me being in the political world, my family, my wife, and are very close friends of the Tiges. And we went on vacations together, and it's just still unbelievable. I can't believe it. Every day I go to work, I sit at Tommy's desk, his phone with his Texas Longhorn emblem on the phone, and it's just unreal. But, you know, I mean, I feel like 12 years ago I worked for PennDOT, and this is the easiest story to sum everything up. Mike Carroll comes to me and offers me the job of his chief of staff. So I sit down and I say to my dad, what do you think I should do? And he looked at me and he said, call Tom Tigue. Talked to Tom Tigue, and here we are 10 years later. So, Tommy, if you want to come up, or the whole family. Like I said, it's what I tell everybody, it's one of the greatest honors ever known Tom Tigue. If I could be half the man that Tom Tigue was, then I accomplished something in life. I love the man dearly, I love his family, and he was just an unbelievable person. Here you go, Tom. This is a citation from the House. Thank you very much.
Now I'd like to ask if State Senator John Udechek would come up and present the citations.
Thank you very much. What a wonderful evening for Pittston City. It is an honor and a pleasure to work with everybody in this room, from our city leaders to our community leaders to our business leaders. We're doing great things every day in Pittston. It's great to talk about Pittston. To all my colleagues from across Pennsylvania, it's great to bring the governor and the lieutenant governor to walk down our streets and marvel at what we've been able in our small town, in our small city, to be able to do big things. So it's with great pleasure that I present a citation to Rose, who's done a tremendous job from the time that there was the vision to the time that you actually put the bricks in the ground and the water rises from the street and we have this beautiful city. So Rose, if you'd come up, we'll present the citation. Now for my dear friend, mentor, Tom Tigue. Tom was a special man. I got elected to the state legislature when I was a young man in my early 20s. And who's the guy that takes me under his wing but a guy named Tom Tigue? And we had a lot of fun. We actually lived together for a number of years, probably 6 or 8 years of Tom's, the end of his career and the beginning of mine. And we used to have fun. Tom had a way about him. If you told Tom Tigue, have a nice day, he'd usually shoot back, don't you tell me what to do. And Tom he really was a bit of a philosopher. I remember one time he said, you know, life always provides the metaphor. And on the way up here tonight from Harrisburg, as I was traveling the speed limit the entire way, I ran out of gas. right at mile marker 94 on the interstate. And I thought about Tommy. You always got to be prepared, Johnny. But I thought about that metaphor and what life was providing, or what Tommy might be saying. As you may know by now, we have a state budget because we ran out of gas. We ran out of gas. But Tommy had taught me all the ways of Harrisburg, but more important, really about, and I think it's the most lasting legacy that I'll cherish, is how to be. It's difficult to be in public life. It's even more difficult to be in public life with a family. And I have 4 beautiful daughters, and Tom was also surrounded by beautiful women and a lovely son. And he taught me that no matter what the battle is in Harrisburg, no matter what the challenge may be in the communities that you represent, the lasting legacy that you will leave in this life is a good family. And Tom and Diane have left an incredible legacy to Greater Pittston. I'm proud to have known him. I'm proud to know his family. And I want to say God bless Tom Tigue and present the citation to his family.
You know the 4 dead cows in the barn? Somebody always gets stuck cleaning them up. So Rose is frantically texting me because her great list of all the people to thank, she's forgotten somebody on. So please, can you help me? So here I go, taking the cows out of the barn. Greg Hall actually is one of Rose's right-hand people, and actually without him, she wouldn't be up here tonight. So of course she screwed up on one of the most critical people. So I'm cleaning up. Greg, thank you. Rose was upset about that.
And if Rose and Tom would come back up, I have citations from U.S. Congressman Lou Barletta and Matthew Cartwright. Get that. Okay, well, I want to thank you all for coming. Thank you for supporting our award winners. And again, we have their charities of choice in the back you can donate to. And have a great night. Thank you so much.